SMT Nation, we back. Nation, Verizon just had this meeting, right? This analyst meeting. And there are a few things that are in there that are pretty interesting and noteworthy. I'd like to discuss them here with you in today's video. I'll be sure to provide the Fierce Wireless link for the article. That'll be kind of guiding our discussion and commentary in today's video. So that link can be found in the description. And of course, ways to support us can be found there as well. All right, so at the analyst meeting, Verizon executives were just discussing the business. There were questions about like inflation and, how does Verizon plan to outgrow that inflation and things of that nature. I won't really bore you too much with that. What I think is important is there's elements of this that directly impact consumers and how we kind of perceive Verizon as an option within the industry. All right, so basically what Verizon has done is they've structured their plans to be built around this concept of you picking add-ons that you want and not having to have a plan that's got all these other things that are built into it that you don't need and you wouldn't feel comfortable paying for, right? So that customization, that very specific tailored want of the things that you prefer or not, have on your plan or whatever is really their go-to market strategy, right? So they call it My Plan. It lets you know that you have power within your plan. So they implemented this going back to the spring of 2023, and that's been what the customer has viewed as what Verizon is doing with respect to plans. Q4 was really good for Verizon. Q3 was very, I'd say much quieter, and then the first 2 quarters of the year were weak, and we can't really say with definition whether or not My Plan was working for those first couple of quarters. I mean, it was only dropped in Q2, and then we finally had full quarters in Q3 and 4. So we're still unsure about where My Plan sits, but according to them, it seems to be doing well. They said 30 million customers have lines on it, so they're taking to it. Maybe it's just the fact that they can drive their costs down. They can have a cheaper plan, or they do indeed like the customization piece. So we'll continue to monitor that here in the future and how people take to those plans. I think additionally, what was an important takeaway and what impacts customers is this right here, this paragraph. Sampath has other changes as well since he moved from the business group last spring. One being the structure of its sales divisions from national organization to one where the country is divided into 6 markets, each with 6 to 10 different territories. Now, here's why this is important. What this does is it allows Verizon to be a little bit more nimble and agile when it comes to pivoting, whether it's promotional, things that they want to implement, or they want to like change a direction and compete better with, AT&T or T-Mobile or whatever. Each territory gets its own boss. And then within that framework of that team, they can have a custom, sales compensation plan where they can compete. Now they've moved away from like the team-based structure to commission. Now it's individualized. Those are pretty big changes. So there's probably going to be some really aggressive, very effective sellers in national retail, that are going to probably come back to Verizon to sell. And they can make good money and they'll be rewarded for that. And then you have obviously the pivotability or the adjustability of having regionalization to to retail. I think that's pretty smart. I think Verizon was wise to do this. So you've got regionalization, you've got a return to rewarding aggressive and effective sellers. I think you got a situation where Verizon is, they tried some things, it didn't really work. Maybe they're kind of going back to what they know can work, or they're making modifications. I think you're looking at a company, especially with the CEO Hans Vestberg, who's, doing some tweaking along with Sampath, where they're like the title says here, trying to get its mojo back, return to the successful Verizon that everybody has known after kind of having a weak last couple of years, especially going back to 2022. 23 was definitely a better year, and they stand a good chance to perform well in 24. And of course, they've got some shining stars in fixed wireless access. And I think, cable is a good relationship for them where they make money. And I think if they can just stabilize prepaid, maybe take some share. You see what's going on with Boost Mobile. I think that's an opportunity for them. There are some opportunities there, and I think they've positioned themselves to be ready to make some very definitive moves in 2024. How do they stack up to their competition? AT&T, they're kind of sticking to what they know. They're not really changing much. And T-Mobile's trying to transition. They're trying to find ways to become more profitable. Verizon doesn't have problems making profits, right? Verizon might be looking at ways to try to generate some growth in a margin accretive way, but T-Mobile's kind of in this transitional stage where they no longer want to just be this bargain carrier. They're trying to upsell people on margins. Verizon doesn't have a hard time doing that. These companies are in very different places, right? And I like Verizon's chances and outlook for 2024. I think they're going to have a pretty good year as long as they continue to carve out their broadband growth at a fine trajectory with margins. I think everybody can be happy with the outcome. And, don't worry too much about pricing. I don't think Verizon is going to do too much with pricing this year. I think they've kind of set up their company to just look at 2024 as a way to grow. So as a consumer, what you're going to see is what you're going to get. I don't think there's going to be much changes there. I do expect a little bit of a price bump in fixed wireless access, their 5G home internet. So, they continue to have that like price locking and stuff like that. But I think they're going to continue to still be aggressive to grow that service. So if you're in the industry and you want to, put your bid in to work at Verizon, I think it's going to be a good opportunity for you. I think you'll like the opportunity. If you're a customer in the industry and you're not liking what, AT&T and T-Mobile have to offer, Verizon's going to have offers for you. I think it's going to be a big year. I think this is indications that Verizon is making small adjustments that could just make them a better company and be more attractive to consumers. We'll see how it plays out, though. All right, so some interesting stuff from that conference, and we'll see how it all plays out this year. Anyways, comment down below. To all the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard.